Hey, what's up, friends? Grant Bolden here. Welcome back to the Speaker Lab podcast. Hey, I'm excited about today's conversation because we are talking to what my wife would describe as probably my very best friend in all the land. Today, we're having Bryan Harris hanging out with us. Brian's been on the show a couple times before, and outside of my wife and my family, I probably talk to Bryan more than anybody else in my world. Is that fair?
This is accurate. I would put the same descriptor on it. I'm glad Sheila would call me your best friend and that you wouldn't. So I will. I now put in my Twitter bio.
So
Reportedly,
close.
Grant Baldwin's best friend reported by his wife Sheila. So that's what I'm going for this
We
point.
because we talk so much, I think it makes a something like this more difficult because we've been just dinging around here for the past several minutes, like, oh, we probably should hit record, and here we are. So first of all, let's kind of get to it. You have been on the show a couple times, but for people who aren't familiar with us, you run a successful coaching marketing company. Tell us what that is.
Yeah. So our mission is to make it almost impossible to fail at getting customers. This comes from a pain that I had many times when I first started online and still do occasionally, which is how do you get random people on the internet to give you money? As a speaker, you have a problem, which is how do I get random people that run conferences to give me money, which is a version of that. And I started off selling courses and memberships and software and eventually found my way into coaching. And the same problem exists. Like, how do you grow the business? How do you get new customers to find you and to give you money so you can actually help them? So that's what we do for people. We make it almost impossible to fail for coaches to get clients. And we work with people you know and people we don't know. Clients like Amy Porterfield, Michael Hyatt, and Josh Axe at Ancient Nutrition, and you know Terry Winchell, who helps parents parent their kids better that you've never heard of before. Glenn Hill, who runs a company called Connection Coach that does marriage counseling. I love it. We work from companies from $0 to $50 million and everybody in between. And you would think there'd be drastic differences in companies like that, and it's really just like a lot of the same stuff over and over again. How do we get customers? How do we serve them really well? And so that's fun. That's what we do. We give away all of our tools and training for free at growthtools.com. The thing people pay us for is to help them integrate that into their exact situation. So that's what we do.
It's good stuff. That was very succinct. That was very
That's
nice.
all it is, man.
You've
I
been
like
working on that, huh? Okay, that's good.
it.
All right, so today we're going to be talking specifically about how speakers can add high ticket coaching to their business. And one thing that we teach inside the Speaker Lab is the Speak framework, SPEAK. And the K is knowing when to scale, and meaning like a lot of people who are interested in speaking ultimately like have some type of message that they want to share or a way that they want to help people. And speaking is a way; it's not the only way. And so people who are building their speaking business may also want to do a book or do coaching or do consulting or do a course or do some type of program. So specifically, we'll talk today about a high ticket coaching program, which is something, probably a decent number of people are like they've heard of, but it can be kind of this gray nebulous type of idea. So maybe start by defining, like, when we talk about like a speaker adding a high ticket coaching component to their speaking business, what are we even talking about?
So imagine you go speak in a room and there's 100 people there, and you got paid $3,000 to go speak. So you made $3,000. You're speaking to an audience. Typically, the next way to make money from that engagement is to be in the back of the room with books or worksheets or DVDs or whatever it is you sell in the back of the room after a speaking engagement. And you might pick up a couple $100, maybe a couple $1,000 out of that. But after spending an hour or 30 minutes, however long your talk is, with a room of 100 people, you've built deep personal connection with dozens of people in that room. Many people are asleep and not paying attention, but some people in that room are really locked into you and want to go deeper. Like, they want to, like, say you're speaking on personal finance. They picked up an idea or two. Their life's not changed, but they're really connected with you now. A thing I have a heart for is how do we get our success rate as high as possible? And high ticket coaching is a great way to do that. So for a speaker, you're speaking on stage, you get paid a couple grand to speak. At the end of the talk, instead of being in the back selling your books or whatever thing is you sell, you just be at the back and ask people to schedule a time with you over the next 24 hours to talk about how you potentially could help them in that particular situation, your team or you personally, with one-on-one coaching. So our delineation of high ticket coaching is a coaching program that costs $5,000 or more. So imagine you have a room of 100 people. You spoke for 30 minutes to an hour. You get deep personal connection with a couple dozen people, and 3 people out of that talk actually hire you to coach them. So you've gone from making $3,000 from your speaking fee to $15,000 additional off the back end of that. So it's great for revenue, and it's even better for taking those people down a personal path of actually getting the result of what you speak on and train on. So that's how it would work. You get the audience, you get paid to speak, but you also get paid to take those people deeper, and you can triple, quadruple, 10x your speaking fee just from your high ticket coaching business. So that's kind of the basics of what it would look like for a speaker.
So you've worked with, I mean, a lot of people to develop this, and as we've kind of been alluded to, you and I are pretty close friends, and so I have a decent look behind the curtain on your own business. And so you've worked with a variety of people in all different industries. Are there, and it's kind of similar in the speaking space where there's a lot of people speaking on a lot of different things. Are there some industries or topics where this just works better than others?
I've yet to find the industry that's the exception. However, the psychology of will this work in my industry comes down to, are there people that have money that would buy this? I was literally coaching a lady this morning who's she sells training to teachers. I forget exactly what problem she
Yeah.
solves, but her market is teachers. Teachers, if you don't make a lot of money. Like the average teacher salary is like $30,000 to $40,000 or something like that. So selling something that's 10 grand, that's literally a quarter
Yeah.
of their total income
We
for the
don't do
year.
public math, but yes.
Yeah, you can get tricky with that. That's a quarter of all their income. So how would you sell to that? So any high ticket coaching offer is not meant for 90% of the market. 90% of the market is not the people that will buy that. What you're selling to is the top 5%. So think about this like Elon's business model. Elon Musk is the opposite of what's taught online. So the most popular model of running an online business, especially the teaching-based business, is the ascension ladder. You start with a $9 PDF, and then you sell the $50 course, and you upsell to the $97 thing, then you upsell to the $300 thing, and $500, and $1,000. You just go through this infinite loop of ladders of money to pay. And that is extremely difficult to do. So Elon comes on the scene a couple decades ago. He does the opposite. He does the descension ladder. So he literally starts at the top of the market with a $250,000 car, and the first 10 people he sells that car to are celebrities. George Clooney was his first customer. George Clooney has a lot of disposable income. Whether that car works or is perfect doesn't matter to George Clooney. He has a lot of money. He can buy the $250,000 car, and it's not an issue at all. And Elon then took the profit and everything out of that and worked to the mid-market, which is when he sold the Model S and the Model X, the Falcon wing door car, and that's a $100,000 car. And then after a decade or so of doing that and the profit from that, having a successful business, by the way, at that point, he was the first successful car manufacturer to start in over 100 years, since Henry Ford.
Wow.
The first person to start a car company that actually worked and didn't go bankrupt was Elon. And it's because he did the opposite of everybody else. He didn't try to start with a mass market thing. He started at the top and worked his way down. So all this to say, the key to any industry is not focusing or trying to sell to 98% of your market. You're only trying to sell to that very top percentage of people. So if you're trying to sell to teachers, which would be a hard market to do high ticket in, but still doable, I've seen it before. One of our best clients does it. Is focusing on teachers that have money. That might be private school people. That might be, the 30 most wealthy counties in the country. Who are the teachers there and what are their salaries? It's going to be more than blue collar Detroit or something. If you go to Williamson County, the teachers just make more here. Or maybe teachers with a spouse that makes money as well. You're trying to sell to people that have money. People that have money buy things. People that don't have money are really hard to get by things. So I've seen it work in board game creation, personal finance, marriage counseling, teachers, and everything in between. We work with over 2,000 people that have done this, and I've yet to see the exception. The trap is you think your market's cheap and doesn't buy. There's truth to that because the majority of your market is, but we're not trying to sell to those people at all. We're trying to sell to the very motivated people that actually have money and want to solve that problem right now. And those people always buy no matter the market.
Now, one thing, you and I have talked about offline is I don't feel like I'm great at coaching. It's not something I necessarily enjoy or feel like I'm good at. And so it's something I tended to kind of stay away from. So even whenever I was starting the Speaker Lab, had a lot of people were saying, hey, can I get coaching with you? Or you should do coaching. I was just kind of resistant to it. And because one, I didn't feel like I was great at it, didn't enjoy it. But two, it was also kind of like, I felt like it was creating kind of another job, so to speak. And it's just one more thing that I had to do and I had to be responsible for in order to fulfill. And so for someone who may be watching, listening, going like, okay, I'm intrigued by this, but aside from let's assume that the industry is right, that the audience is a good fit for this. Is there like certain types of entrepreneurs or speakers that this makes more sense for than others, or things that we need to kind of consider or think about before we say like, oh yeah, I'm diving in on this?
Yeah, if you don't want to coach, you should not start a coaching business.
That's
That's very clear.
You're very
Now,
smart.
there's an exception to that. Like you don't have to I coach 4 people technically, 4 people one-on-one, but we have hundreds of coaching clients. So I don't want hundreds of coaching clients. There's several reasons, one of which I like coaching. I find it fun. I find I learn 10 times more than them, and I get better ideas and become a better leader as a result of it. That's not everybody, though. So one, you do not have to start a coaching business. And if you don't have a heart for coaching in general, I think you'll probably generally just suck if you want to run a coaching business, because you can help product 0% because you're always avoiding the thing because you don't even like it. Like if you don't like cars, don't start a car company. If you don't like coaches, don't start a coaching company. Now, one trap you can get in, one blocker that could be there is like, well, I want a handful of people's fine. I like that. But if we get 50 people, like, what am I going to do? It's like, yeah, you're going to hire people to help them. So we generate about $500,000 of revenue per coach. In fact, that's the most, and this is getting kind of weedsy. That's the most important number in the business. How much revenue do your coaches generate? It's actually the most important number in any business. What's your revenue per employee? And if it's below $250,000, that company is struggling to make money. If it's above $250,000, they actually have a profit. So if you want to know how much money somebody's making, do that math. Find out how many employees they got, divide it by, multiply that times 250, and you can probably guess pretty accurate where they're at because most companies are in that range. So very simply said, if you like coaching but don't want to coach a bunch of people and you're intrigued by the idea of doing high ticket, you can just hire other people to help coach. And the other thing there is you can assemble your coaching program in the way that feels right for you. Like you don't have to do one-on-one calls with people. You don't have to answer email one-on-one. You can configure the plan, the type of program that actually works well for you. You can do group calls. You can do, like we call those office hours, and every client's invited. Those work great. You can have all the emails be submitted like in Slack where clients and a bunch of coaches can answer. None of that makes a difference to sales. We've sold nearly every conceivable configuration over the last 10 years of coaching. Conversion rate doesn't matter to that. What you need to do is one, decide, do you want a coaching company? Two, how many clients do you want? And anything past that, bring in somebody to help with that. And the third thing is like, what configuration do you want? Like, do you want one-on-one? Do you want group? Do you want a plan when they come in or no plan when they come in? Do you want done for you elements in your coaching? You just get to pick. It's a grab bag of things. So pick the thing. Like a lot of people think about like product market fit, and that matters a lot. But way more important than that is product founder fit. Like, is the product you're selling something you actually are interested in and like fit you and your personality? And then you can lead and hire and everything from that. But if you have a product that's just not fit with what you want to do or who you are, like that, it doesn't matter what marketing you have or what sales you have. Like eventually you're going to burn out and quit because you're going to get bored of it. So that would be some thoughts to consider there.
Yeah. And also like the more I think about it, like when I talk about coaching, like I guess, you and I lift weights a couple times a week and I kind of help coach you in that and, to get strong. So,
You're my mentor, Grant.
Okay. All right. That's what I want to hear. All right. Make a little muscle, big muscle. Okay. So I think a lot of times when we talk about like coaching, we just kind of assume like just kind of a one-on-one thing. And, it's almost like almost like a counselor or a therapist. And like, I go to this person once a week and we discuss my challenges or problems in the business or whatever. And they give me some feedback and then I go back and then I come back a week or two later and just kind of like this one-on-one. But when you talk about, and it's kind of like on a session by session by session basis, but kind of what you're describing there is like, it can look a lot of different ways. So how can we start to kind of figure out what this should look like? Because even when you describe like if I'm paying a coach, or let's say a counselor or a therapist, $100 per session, and I'm just kind of paying on a per session basis. But with what you're describing of like, hey, you could do some type of program that's a $5,000 program. Well, that sounds vastly different. So what should of the buffet of options that could go in that, what should actually go in there?
What you definitely do not want to do is charge per time you talk to a human. That's a bad idea. And that's what most people think of when they think of coaching. Like a marriage counselor who charges $100 an hour to do a session, like they're in a trap that they will never get out of. And you don't have, and it's not effective. Like, again, if you want to produce transformation, you need several things. And a one-on-one conversation is a thing that is on the list that could be important. But what happens typically, because I've hired lots of coaches and we've had lots of marriage counselors over the years. Me and Grant have had relationship counselors.
So many.
Not really. So there's three things I found, like three fundamentals that you need. But there's lots of ways to do each of these, of which one-on-one calls and one-on-one email is not a requirement. You can do it if you are drawn that direction, but you don't have to. You need a plan, you need training, and you need advisement. It's PTA, like a school. I've actually never said that before, but it is PTA. That's easy to remember. There you go.
It's adorable.
Innovating curriculum as we go here. So a plan is they hire you. Like, okay, I'm thinking of the last, two marriage counselors ago that we had. I went in, I was like, here's all of our stuff. What should we do? And he's like, come back next week and let's talk. And we came back next week and we just talked a bunch. And I'm like, but what's the path? I want to go to Tampa, Florida. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Can you tell me the GPS coordinates to get there? Because if everybody going to Tampa, everybody's going to have a slightly different way to get there. Fundamentally, you're kind of doing the same. You're driving and you're following the GPS and you turn left and you turn right and you stay in a hotel and you get food. There's not a lot else. Like, that's the components of it. But the exact turn by turn is going to change based on where you're coming from. So these are the three components we have. Make a plan. You can do this in an hour. This is not a complicated thing. They come in, they fill out a form, have a template, you put the plan together and you talk them through it. This is the plan. You want to go here, you're from here, here's the turns you're going to take. The second thing is training. You need to get information from your head to their head. Like, there's things, if you want to be a speaker and you hire a grant, like, you don't know right now. You need to know where to find gigs and what to say to them and then what to do to convert them or something like that. Some combination of information you need to do the thing. That's a commodity, but you still need to make it happen. You can do that live. We do that live.
Yep.
And then you could do it recorded. You could have a course they watch. All it is training at the end of the day. The third bucket is advisement. And this is where the magic actually happens. The plan is really good. The training's really good. They got to have both of those things. If not, your success rate's going to suck. Your word of mouth's going to suck. People won't be all that successful. You have high refund rates. The third thing you need is advisement. In my particular situation, what do I do here? In my particular situation, what do I do there? I see the thing about finding speaking gigs and how to do that, and I'm going to try it, but I'm stuck. What do I do then? That is what a lot of people think of coaching as. So you can do that in a handful of ways. You can have private email. Somebody literally just emails you, he's like, hey, I'm here. What do I do? Here's a script I wrote to send out to try to book this gig. Can you look over it? Yeah, great. You could also have that posted in a Slack channel where you just post it and you have maybe people that you've hired, maybe past students come in and look at them. Maybe you look at them. Maybe you have a stable of coaches that look at them. Doesn't matter. It's just, do I put it in this spot or do I put it in that spot? The client's experience is when I post my script, is somebody that knows what they're talking about give me feedback. That's all they care about.
Yeah.
So you have two buckets of advisement, asynchronous and synchronous. So, and what do you want to do in those? You don't even have to do both of them. You get to pick. So in synchronous, like, do you want to do private or do you want to do public? Meaning other clients get to see it. We do public because it's just, you actually get better feedback that way. Literally better feedback. If you just emailed me, you're going to get something. But if it's me and my leadership team and you text us all, you're just going to get better feedback because there's other humans in the room that have brains that have experience as well. So that's what we do on all clients across the board, no matter who they are. The second bucket is, are we talking to each other in some kind of synchronous way? Are we on a Zoom call at any point? How does that work? So you could do two buckets of things there. You can have private calls. You could have public calls, like office hours that anybody can attend, or a private call. And you get to pick what you want to do. So high level, PTA. You need a plan. You need information transfer, you need training, and you need advisement when you get stuck. So there's 12 ways you can configure that. I don't really care what the way is because all that's going to work really well no matter what it is. As long as you see it and you're like, I like that. That could work really well. So you could have a simple plan that takes you an hour, a live training to do once a week that takes an hour, and you could have all the questions anybody wants to ask in a Slack channel where you and other people can help answer it. And that's your high ticket coaching program. And that'd be a great program that you could charge 5 to 10K for in nearly any industry. And that's all. You don't need to do more than that. And as you want to get out of it, you could have other coaches, which are successful students, your best ones, come in and just pay them a little bit to service them.
And so in many ways, it sounds like this idea of creating a productized service. And so a service is purely just kind of a one-on-one coach or a therapist or counselor or trainer, whatever it may be. But in this model, it's much more of a, no, we're gonna take kind of the common challenges of what this general roadmap is that someone's going to be going through, and we're going to kind of productize it and turn it into something. And so I guess the other question would be, all right, if I have a good idea of what should go in this and what that PTA should look like, how long should it be? You know, are we talking like this is a couple week program, or is this a couple year program, or something in between? Because if you look at like the road trip example, if you fly there, you know, you could be to Tampa in a couple hours. You know, if you walk there, it's going to take you a second. And so what should the timeline look like for something like this? You like that? That was good.
Good analogy, by the way. That's good.
That's right.
Timeline. Here's what we do. Actually, this is Alex Hormozy. He's the first person I heard this from. Actually, Alex has a great book, and it's none of the stuff people know. It's a book called Gym Launch Secrets. It was written before he does any of his current stuff, and it's actually a fantastic book. If you can find it on Amazon, I assume it's still around. He said this, and I've codified a thing we probably had since, but now this just seems factual. People only fire you when they feel like you don't care anymore, or they've extracted all the value out of the relationship. So, example, I've talked about Glenn several times. We don't use Glenn anymore because we reached a point where Glenn just kept telling us the same stuff over and over again. I'm like, okay, I guess. So what do we do now? He's like, do the same thing. I'm like, well, we're doing that, and that's not working for this situation. It's like, try harder. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go find somebody else. So the road trip analogy probably breaks down because, okay, imagine you have an amazing marriage coach. At what point do you want to stop working on your marriage? Like, never. So if the coach continues to have value, that's key. Like they're able to continue helping you practically.
Right.
Give you tips and tricks and dive in and analyze. Oh, Sheila's saying this, and you're saying this, and like, okay, let's deconstruct this. Here's a plan. Here's your homework assignment. Go do it. If they're able to continue doing that, and you feel like they're still trying, you'll never fire them because you never reach the destination of my marriage is perfect, my parenting is perfect. Because like as long as the kids are there, they could leave the house. Now that you have different challenges, now they're not 5 years old anymore; they're 10 years old anymore. Now you've been married for 10 years. You're parents of what you always have new challenges,
Yeah.
whether it's parenting or leadership or whatever. So our paradigm is there's not an end. The only end, and we use this language intentionally, although the clients don't. When clients fire us, it's because one of two reasons: either they don't perceive there's value, or they don't perceive that we cared about the relationship anymore. So the end is they sense that one of two things. Now that's not always factual, but like that's their feeling. So if somebody churns and leaves, that's one of the two reasons that we found. And they almost always fit in those two buckets. So we use in our pricing model, our pricing model reflects this. We charge a setup fee to get started plus an ongoing monthly fee. So we charge minimum $3,500 to start, and that includes your plan and your first month of training and coaching. And then $1,000 a month, or minimums are $3,500 and $500 a month, and you can go up from that. That's our minimum for high ticket coaching. $3,500 to get started. I'm going to make a plan. I'm going to map out the personal finance. We'll deep dive, do a colonoscopy, the entire thing, find the good, the bad, and order events, and work with you to do that. Where you look at that and you're like, yeah, that's it. You're confident in the plan. Then over the next 30 days, we're going to train you. We're going to coach you. And as long as you don't feel like we don't care and you're getting value, you're going to keep paying $500 a month for that. If at any point they stop doing that, then one of those two things have triggered. They don't think we care, or they think they've extracted all the value, in which case that's a product problem. Fix it. So that's our paradigm.
You kind of touched on the pricing side there. How do you kind of figure out like what to charge for something like this? Because you even kind of touched on, let's say you have some type of productized service for a teacher who, like you said, is maybe making 30, 40,000. And you're just like, man, I would love to charge a lot for this. I know this is valuable, but I just know, like, knowing my audience, they're pretty limited versus, I have some type of leadership development program for some high-powered executive who has a significant multi-six-figure, seven-figure salary, and or maybe a corporate budget where, it's just a rounding error to them. So how do you kind of figure out what you should be charging for something like this?
This is like, people never like this at all because everybody's scared to death of charging money. So our paradigm is super simple. Start at $35,500 and work your way up. And the number one metric of that is your personal confidence. Meaning if you are confident on a call. Now, pause here real quick. Go to the teacher example. That's an extreme example that doesn't exist in most industries, but you're never going to sell a $35,500 setup to a $50,000 single mom teacher. That's not the market for you. Your market is a household income of $200K and the teacher makes $50,000 and they're in a wealthy county. That actually will work. So you would not sell to single income mom at $50,000. They would never be a candidate. But you would sell to, we make $250,000 and we live in a really nice house that's worth $1 million and we live in a top 50 county or something. Like that is actually somebody that'll pay $500 a month, not because it ROIs their salary, but because it makes them better at what they do and they got the disposable income to do it. So our teaching, and this is what we do for clients, we've made super complicated versions of this, is start at $35,500, and as your confidence to sell goes up, increase your price. That's actually what matters. If you're on a call and you are totally convicted that your thing will produce the transformation they want and you got a qualified prospect, the price will never be a problem. But if you are not convicted, it doesn't matter the facts of anything, you will never sell it.
And so when you say $35,500, just to clarify, you're talking $3,500 setup fee one time and then $500 a month.
That's right.
Gotcha. Yeah. And at that point, like, is there a certain like month commitment or is it just month to month?
Month to month.
And so in that way, it seems like the good thing is, like, as the coach or the coaching business is providing the service, you have to keep earning the business month after month. You have to keep providing the value.
You got great feedback loops and you got great MRR. Like, you got great MRR. So you got stable revenue in your business. And hey, if you have a bad month and You got 50 people and 3 of them fire you. It's like, okay, like that's not that big of a hit at all. Like your stable income is there and grows as you grow.
All right, so say you got a rough idea of what this is going to look like, what the program could be, and now you're like, okay, I want to try this out. And so let's talk specifically about like I'm going to do a speaking gig, kind of like what you alluded to earlier. There may be 100 people in the room, and some number of people of those are going to be interested in what it is that you offer. Is this just kind of a um, at the end an altar call of, hey, come down to the front if you would like to work with me, or like what would this actually, I'm going to pass around a sign up sheet if you're interested, put your name on. What would this look like of going from I'm speaking to I know there's people out there? How do we bridge the gap?
For sure, do an altar call. That's definitely the trick.
That was a new one. I haven't used that one before.
Oh man, which is a weird concept, by the way. Anyway, that's it. Yeah.
Could
Let's
go in
see.
that rabbit hole.
Yeah, we'll stay out of the steer right, Brian. So I speak. I do it virtually. Rarely do I do in person these days, but I speak to other people's audiences virtually at least twice a week. This is my second one today. I actually really enjoy it. I think it took me years. I did that a lot and then didn't do it for a while. And I'm like, I actually like doing that. Why don't I just do that a lot? I like talking to people. So 2 days ago, I spoke to an audience and there was about 150 people there virtual in a webinar. Free. I didn't get a speaking fee. The next day, a client hired us and paid us $5,000. And we got 2 or 3 others to probably hire us out of that audience. It took me about 90 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. It was great. If I were to speak in person, I'd literally give the exact same talk. So I'll just share what I did there and then people can figure out what they want to do with it. So at the end of the talk, I give them an action guide. And I tell them, and this is a slide, I tell them like, hey, if you want to do the thing that I just outlined, like, great, let me give you some next steps you can take. And all of them are free. There's nothing to buy here. And here's the action guide. And I give them some tools. I give them a little bit of training. And I ask them, so you need 3 things to be successful with really anything. You need the tools and you need the training. You need the information in your head and you need the mechanics to actually do it. But if you want to speed it up and go way faster, you need a coach to walk alongside you. So I'm going to give you all that for free. And it's a free call to action. And so we give them a handful of tools, we give them a little bit of training. It's like, hey, to get this, over the next 24 hours, we have some time opened up on our calendar. And I want one of our coaches to talk to you about your situation, to start looking at what your goals are so we can see and start drafting for you a marketing plan. And in our particular case, the plan is a marketing plan. In your case, it might be a parenting plan or a finance plan or a marriage plan, whatever your thing is. We'll start drafting a marketing plan for you so you're clear on what this will look. What is your path from Tampa to Eugene, Oregon? Like, what does your path look like? And if it makes sense, at the end, I'll tell you about your coaching program and we potentially can keep walking beside you to do this. So our call to action is to give more. Give a tool, give a training, and schedule a call. So we'll just have a URL. Literally, the URL for this one was growthtools.com/ well, we'll do it here. I'll do the same thing here. So if you like what you hear, go to growthtools.com/grant. Hopefully that's the right URL. growthtools.com/grant. We'll have a page there. And on the page, I'll give you our high ticket bundle. It'll be some examples of a high ticket offer, a little 1-pager on how to get clients, and a 1-pager on like how to fulfill coaching easily. I'll also give you access to a little 10-minute training on how to attract clients. A little 10-minute video walking you through our number 1 method that really syncs with speakers really well. And on that page, to get that, schedule a coaching call with us. It's all that's free. So that's the mechanic. And literally that's real for here. growthtools.com/grant. All those things will be there. Just enter your email, schedule the call. You'll get the tools, you'll get the training. So that's what we do. That's the pitch at the end, which is just inviting them into the next step. The talk was showing them what's possible, showing them our model versus the model they probably are doing. The end of it is like, if you like that and want to do more, here's some stuff where you can do more. And then on that call, we have opportunity to hire. So real-time example of this. Virtually spoke 2 days ago, 150 people in the room, 40 people scheduled a call, like meaning 40 people got the tool, got the training, and scheduled a call with us. And we'll probably get 4 or 5 clients out of that. We've gotten one. It's only been 24 hours or 36 hours or something. We'll probably get 4 or 5 people out of that. So that's $20,000 to $30,000 from one speaking engagement to 150 people. Didn't get a speaking fee. So you can do that real time. You can do that live. You can do it virtually. It doesn't really matter. Actually, the in-person stuff works a little better because your personal connection's deeper due to being in the same room as a human. So that's how it works. The reason I love this, and I think high ticket coaching, at least on the sales mechanism side, you need to want to be a coach, by the way, and want to at least hire a coach or two to run it down the line, one or the other at the very minimum. The reason I love it for speakers specifically is you're already in front of other people. Like your marketing channel is built in. You don't have to do any new marketing work. Just speak once a week, virtually in person. Speak once a month, virtually in person. If you speak once a month to a crowd of at least 100 people, that's a that's a six-figure business just off the back end sales from high ticket. One client at 10 grand from one speaking gig once a month for free is a six-figure business. That's it. That's the
The
whole mechanism. You don't have to have fancy funnels or down sales or upsells. Like that's the whole thing.
Well, I think a good example, with you and kind of using your own example there is, I mean, knowing you, I don't know that you would consider yourself a speaker in the traditional
No,
sense.
not at
However,
all.
you are doing a lot of presentations, like you said, in a virtual setting, and someone may be watching, listening, going like, "Well, he's just doing a podcast interview with a buddy right now." It's like, yeah, but this is the opportunity to present something that may lead to exactly what you're describing there. So, all right, let's kind of wrap up with this for someone who's watching, listening, going like, "Okay, I'm intrigued by all this." In some ways, I see what's possible, but it also feels like somewhat overwhelming, or it could be potentially overwhelming. I love the idea of going to Tampa, and I see kind of the potential path to go there. But oftentimes, that the first step is the most difficult one. So, like, where do we go from here? Like, what's our next step?
Go on a 10-minute walk. Literally, go on a 10-minute walk. If you're like intrigued and you're leaning in and like, I think I might want to do high ticket coaching. I think that sounds interesting. Not just a money arbitrage. Like, stop doing that stuff. It's like flipping wheeze back in 2000. Like, there's plenty of crazy. Go do Bitcoin or something. That's another way to do that. But
Flipping
if you're like
weeds?
flipping Wii's, like, did you like when the Nintendo Wii came out? Like, we flipped, like, we'd buy them at Walmart and flip them on
Oh, I
Craigslist and
flipped
like
other things, but not a way. Yeah. Okay.
that kind of stuff. Like, most people who are in business do some fancy version of that. Like, it's all just money arbitrage opportunity,
Totally.
and that's fine. That whatever, that's okay. But if you're leaning in, you're like, man, I love working with people. I love transforming them, and the idea of doing coaching is interesting to me. That's minimum criteria. If you're there, go on a 10-minute walk, say a prayer, and just ask and see if there's peace in this direction. If it's like, man, that's really intriguing, and that sounds like, I mean, it's work, everything's work, but like, I think that might be it. Then go to growthtools.com/grant. Get the tool. I'll give you the high ticket offer bundle. Get the training and exactly how you would get clients. And for speakers, it's really simple. And jump on a call with one of our coaches and talk to them about your situation. Like, have somebody, like, all of our coaches have had thousands and thousands of coaching calls with people. Go talk with them about your situation and see, like, get an expert's advice on, does this make sense for you and how would it work? That'd be my next step. You need somebody who's seen it to look at it and decide and help you decide if you should do it or not. Don't do it if you're like striving. Don't do it if it sounds like a ton of work. Go on a 10-minute walk. Let the snow globe settle down. See if there's peace in this direction. If so, go to growthtools.com/grant and let's talk and let's see, in our opinion, if this makes sense for you to do. And if so, like, we'll walk you through how to do it.
Good stuff. Hey, thanks for taking the time, man. Appreciate you sharing your wisdom and insights. I still have so much to teach you in the gym, and so we'll keep working on that and try to make you as strong as me. But that's a bigger thing. It's good to have big goals, and that's a big goal for you. And I'm happy to go along with you on this journey to Tampa. So,
Mm-hmm.
Bryan, always good to chat with you.
Love you, man. It.